What's going on, guys? So we're gonna do a quick little how-to on how I wash the car every day. Kind of a nice clean edit. Maybe do a little walkthrough of some plans for the car and some future mods and whatnot, and we'll take it from there. So yeah. So I do the 2 bucket method, which the industry is very familiar with. We got the like the grit guards and the washboard in them. I got the microfiber madness credit pad and a smaller brush to get the decals and the lights. And then obviously we're gonna rinse soap, wash the car. So pretty straightforward. Just to prevent any swirling or any marring. We could do the paint as we're lifting the dirt. Use as much safety as possible. Because actually all these swirls are actually like self-inflicted. It's never, the stuff's not caused from stuff on the road or driving it all the time. It's always, like what we're doing with the pad. How cautious are we being in that manner? And it's always self-inflicted. So just be as precautious as you can. Otherwise, you gotta put it under the knife and start correcting and polishing and all that stuff. So yeah. So we got here is MTM, the foam cannon. A lot of people are familiar with that. And then we got wax gods. Their car formula. I use it for the foaming as well as the soap in the bucket. It's just a I've used this since Wax Gods was first a company. I've never had an issue. We have the gallons up here. It's just as good as another brand. It's just somebody that I decided to team up with. So we started from way back. So I just it's been a staple. Car soap is car soap. If it's doing what you're doing, doing what you need it to do. It's nothing crazy. It's not a stripping. It's not a crazy. It doesn't have carnauba in it, which I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is pH neutral, so this is no added wax or anything. It's just strict cleaner. It won't remove wax. It won't add wax. It's just a nice cleansing formula. So that's what I've been using from day one. I haven't had an issue with it. So we're gonna, set this up. I'm usually doing, let me see if we can get this going. So I'm usually using, let's see. Okay, so I'm usually using, just about, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's about 150 mLs. We'll fill the rest, probably 75% with water. GTR is not a big car, so I'll fill the rest with water, and then whatever is not used goes in the bucket as an added, to go with on top of whatever I decide to add. So we're gonna get this filled with water. We're gonna foam the car up and get this going. We're actually not gonna wash the wheels today. We had just mounted these wheels just to get, because we got the old tires are balding, so we just mounted these to keep it on the floor. But we're not going to be cleaning them because I just cleaned them before I mounted them. So normally I would start with the wheels, do a full iron remover and everything, and then assist the paint as necessary. But we're just going to skip that step in the future. I'll show you more how we do that and what products we use. Alright, so also I forgot to mention I'm going to do a quick, so I'm always doing a quick rinse before I'm throwing soap on the car. Just because it adds, lubricity. It doesn't, me personally, that's just how I've done it from the jump. I do same concept as as a human being. When you get in the shower, you don't just throw soap on you, and then you run the water. You're gonna add the water to get the extra suds from the soap, whatever you're using. So same concept here. So we're gonna rinse it down. The pressure washer we're using is actually it's a Sunjo, a pretty mainstream one. It's not Nothing crazy. You know, I've been looking at the I've been looking at the Kranzel for some time, but that's not an investment I'm willing to make yet. But for now, I mean, I've had this for 2 years running, not a single issue. So I'm just kind of, you know, it's not like terrible. It's not like, you know, it's not definitely bottom of the line quality. There is better, but nonetheless, it hasn't given me issues. It's given me all this since then. So we're gonna do a quick rinse on the car, and then we'll get to foaming real quick. All right, guys, car's rinsed off now. So you want to, you know, you're pulling all the loose dirt off the surface. Now we're gonna add foam and let kind of gravity, you know, pull down whatever is just, you know, not embedded, and then that's when you'll use lubricity along with the sponge to, you know, remove the rest. And then I'll show you the process as we're going through it. I'll kind of talk you guys through it. Alright guys, car's foamed up already. Let it sit for about, I don't know, not really a time. I mean, I'm not in the sun, so that's another thing. Try not to wash in the sun. It's definitely not the end of the world, but you know, it just gives you that much more time and caution to like water spots and whatnot. So we're gonna let this dwell for about another minute or so. As soon as I feel it you know, stop, you know, the gravity stop pulling it off and it starts drying off, I'm gonna start, you know, I'm gonna get the soap bucket and start working it out, and you know, getting the dirt through, and I'll show you kind of that process, and then, you know, mentality and why we do it the way we do it. So so yeah, we're gonna let this sit a little, and then we'll come back in and get the mitt and the buckets, and we'll show you how it's done. Okay, right, so all right, so we're on the side of the car now. So we just did the front clip, but you know, ideally, so we have a rinse bucket, so I'm wringing the dirt out. You want to go top to bottom, so you'll go soap bucket. You know, you're gonna bring this all down. You know, and you'll find, and on everybody's car it's gonna be different, but you're gonna find a key point where it's like, all right, cool, I just did the top half, so now we're gonna flip the sponge and kind of. So I'll do the doors half by half, because they'll kick up, and just the idea is to never bring the towel back up. And once both sides are used, that's when you'll come back to your rinse bucket, kind of grind it out. You know, depending on this, you know, on the severity of the vehicle, right? So how often you're driving, where you're driving, what you're going through. You driving in the rain? Is it? So see, one side done. We're gonna flip. We're gonna come up here. So yeah, like, are you driving in the rain? Is it a daily driver? Is it a weekend car? Like, this is a weekend car, so like, you know, it's not too, like, I mean, I'm rinsing dust off right now, and maybe from a drive the other day, but nothing like extreme. But the process, you know, acclimates to each car. It's not going to be, you know, every car is different. It's not going to be the same for each car, so it's not going to be like, so, you know, maybe you might need to visit the rinse bucket more, or the or add more soap, or more dwell time, or a different process. So definitely adapt to each car as you go. And I'll try to, I mean, usually this is pretty universal, but I'll like separate it by panel, you know, so like quarter panel, doors. The front clip I tend to take a lot of time with, whether, you know, depending on where you're driving and everything. That's usually the part that takes the biggest hit with all of it, because I mean, it's going against bugs, dirt, you know. It's the first piece of, you know, it's the first piece of car, right? Because that makes sense. It's the first piece the car is headed into, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like the first, that's what gets hit first when you're driving. It's nothing, and then, you know, obviously when the tires kick up, you know, your sidewalls and everything, the fenders, door panels. So the parts that get hit the most is the parts you want to be careful on the most, because those are the areas that are, like the wing, I'll do in one swipe. You see right here, like, I'm not gonna, you know, the back end, obviously with the exhaust, depending on this car, you know, I gotta do like 2 different swipes on this corner. There's just a lot of kick up and all this stuff. So the trunk is usually one hit. So like here as well, I'll stop, you know, get the plate. But this is what I'll get, like the, so like badges and, or sayings or whatnot, depending on, like, I would use this, kind of like hit it, you know, like if there's dirt buildup or whatnot, or like in here. And same aspect with this, you know, kind of keep rinsing it off. Get like the key fob or the trunk areas, you know, a Nissan emblem, tail lights, whatever, like smaller increments, right, that we can't hit with sponges and whatnot. That's what we want to hit this with, depending on, you know, and it depends on the wash too. This is just a maintenance wash. I'm not going too crazy. In the future, I'll show you guys, obviously, how a deeper cleansing goes, or maybe like a paint correction. But still, regardless of the car, this is where all the stuff is inflicted, right? So when we're doing day-to-day washing, when it's like careless type of washing, that's when we're inflicting the swirls and this and that. So like, although I'm just saying maintenance wash, right? Don't go too crazy and start like acting all careless and everything, because then you're gonna have to put the time in and, you know, correct the paint, or, you know, whatever, marring, whatever you're doing. So the maintenance wash, you know, it's almost as important, because when you're paint correcting, right, you can kind of go a little crazy on the wash, using harsher chemicals and everything. And obviously, you know, the paint's gonna go under the light and everything, and you're gonna start cutting and whatnot. So there's room for like, okay, like I don't need to be too delicate with the wash, you know, like you're putting a polisher or rotary, whatever you're doing to it. But these, you want to be kind of meticulous, you know, don't, you know, again, it depends on the car, how often you're driving it. And just kind of be cautious, because if you don't, you know, like this stuff is going to kill the car. Just as awesome as you like corrected the paint, or you got it corrected by somebody, you can easily throw it to trash by doing a crappy job on like just regular day-to-day washing. So we're going to move on to the side now and get this rinsed off. Alright, so the car's all done. So when I'm doing drying, right, I used to do microfibers, but we're just using a regular leaf blower. Only because you know, like going back to what I was saying before, everything being self-inflicted, so the less we can touch the paint, you know, it reduces the chances of swirling, marring, you know, the whole nine. So, you know, while yes, it is noisy, I think it's a ton more convenient. It's a less, you know, it's less actual labor work, like, you know, moving your arm around, just kind of shadowing the leaf blower or the dryer, whatever you're using, like the Metro Air Vac I know people have, and just kind of pushing the water off the car. It's getting the bulk off of it, and you can also get, the advantage of this is you can get into the seams more, because it's forced air, so it's like, it's as soon as you're crossing that path, it's you know, it's pushing the water out if there's not another way to go. But it came out, you know, pretty straightforward. It's just gonna be a super hard color to get on camera. I mean, from here we can see it because I'm panning it. But yeah, it's a dark blue pearl. It's really, you know, it's a super nice color. Very rare to find too. There was only about 2% of these ever made. The wheels got to go. We got new wheels on the way. But yeah, only about 2% of these ever made. And you can look up the facts. It's only a handful of a few hundred of this color that was made. This specifically is a 91. It is the GTR. It's not a GTST. And yeah, like, so this part of the channel would obviously be, you know, like modifications, this and that. You know, we just got the car recently, so like we're not gonna, you know, we have different parts of life to catch up on, so we're not gonna go full-fledged, and, you know, like throw all our money at it type of thing. We have other things that are, you know, more important at hand, you know, and then when everything's kind of under control, and we have time and the money to invest into it, we'll start getting things with it. But yeah, I mean, so that's, you know, we'll drive this occasionally. Whenever I take it for a drive, I'll kind of see if I can tag you guys along. I know on Sunday I usually go to church with my girl. We usually take this, and then we'll take it to brunch. So like that's the one day we drive it. And then out of the week, if I sporadically want to drive it, something like that. But like I said, like a lot of the stuff for these cars is super rare. We're gonna see if the RB is gonna be put back into production when it comes to the US. But yeah, just like, you know, not as less as I can drive it, you know, as often as, you know, it's at my disposal. I can drive it whenever, but you know, like if it's not 100, you know, like if it's not necessary, if it's like to work or to the gym or something, I'm just gonna use another car. Like it's not a special occasion or anything. But if I get the urge to drive it, absolutely I'm gonna drive it. But we're gonna wrap this up. I'll take you guys upstairs and kind of talk on it, but we're gonna clean this stuff up and get this going.